We're now going to look at embedded objects. Now here we've just got an example of a twig on a leg. The reason we have this on this, I know it's not a realistic injury, but when we're training with this mannequin, it's the easiest way of doing it. So with this, the key thing is we do not want to ever remove the object that's in there, no matter how tempting it is, because the object's gone in and it's cut. Now, it may well be that this piece of wood here is lying right next to an artery. So it hasn't cut the artery, so we're just dealing with bleeding, but not catastrophic bleeding. Whereas if we try and pull it out, we're then going to nick that artery, and then we've got ourselves an even worse bleed. Because right now, that piece of wood, or it could be a knife in the dog or a piece of metal, is actually bunging up the hole. So it's a good start. We want to leave that, and the vet can deal with this, not us as first aiders. For something like this, we need to stop the bleed. Now with traditional first aid, we'd say about just putting dressings on there, but they're all very well, but dressings doesn't really stop the bleed, and it definitely doesn't promote healing. So you could take a piece of collar clot, and then carefully, without moving it, we can tuck the collar clot all around so the product is actually on the wound. So now we've got collar clot built round. Now this is really a two-person job because there's a lot we need to do here to try and do it just on one, but we'll try how it works. So the collar clot's round there. We can apply pressure, keeping it in place, and also what's happening to the collar clot now? Yes, it's stopping the bleed, promoting healing, but it's also helping to keep that piece of wood exactly where it is. What we can then do is take the standard medium dressings. So with these, if we just open them up, we can expose the non-adherent pad. So we've got the pad here, fold it back open, tuck the bandage behind, and now we've got ourselves a pad that we can use on one side. So we can literally take two of these on either side of the wound. So we'll just open this one up. So we just open that up, double it back on itself, and just fold it round again. Nice little pads there that will hold that in place. If I place those on either side of the lump of wood there, so this is really where we need two people. As you see, it's quite hard to hold all this sort of thing in place. What we can then do is take another dressing, put it over the outside, just cut a hole in the middle because we want that piece of wood to come through. So we cut a hole in the middle and then we can bandage that in place. So the collar clot is doing its job to stop the bleed. The bandages on the outside are doing their job to hold the collar clot in place and also to keep the twig from moving. And then the bandage on the outside is just holding it all in one place. So again, much better if you've got two people, but I've cut a hole in the standard dressing. I can apply that over the obstruction, so it's now coming through. So now I've got the bandage round. The pad is actually not really, it's not touching any of the blood because the collar clot is dealing with that, but it's really there to hold those two bandages in place. And then I can take the bandage itself and I can just bandage that round. So from here, we can just take that round and bandage on to actually just hold those two dressings in place. That's really the whole point of what we're doing this. We do not want to be pushing down on that lump of wood. So we're just pulling it round. We now go over the other side of it, so we haven't touched it. So the wound is there. And then once we've gone around, we can then take the other side of the bandage. And we can bring that round and then just tie that in place. So you just tuck that in. So I've just tied it roughly there to show you how it works. But now we've got the collar clot, two bandages holding it in place, the collar clot stopping the bleeding, promoting healing, bandages holding everything in place, top bandage holding it over. Again, I must go to the vets. One of this is something that has to be done, obviously, and they have to do their thing. But we've managed to stop the bleed and stabilise it, and get them to the vet as quick as possible.